It seems like if I wait until everything is picked up and perfect, I would never have any videos to share. But last year, my daughter and I put this bed in right here that is behind the walk behind weed eater, weed whacker. This year we did this one. Actually, this one's brand new. It's a couple weeks old. And behind my pile of pots that I planted in here, this one I did a couple of weeks also. So this one's about a month old. The one I just showed you is about 2 weeks old. So the goal was to have between our two houses a dividing area. So my kids and grandkids live over there beyond this, which will be covered by a Hall's honeysuckle. And then my husband and I live on the other side of this one, which will again be covered by a Hall's honeysuckle. I got to put the two panels in so that it's 8 feet tall. And then to create kind of a walkway, my daughter and I sit out here in the afternoons because this area becomes shaded and it's just lovely. We turn the sprinklers on when it's 100 degrees, and then this cools down. We did this one a year ago also, but then the grass just grew up and time got away from us, so we had to go back in here and dig all the grass out, find the plants that were still alive, and then replant some new perennials. So we did this one again, and we still have a little bit of grass here left to do. And, it may get done this year, it may not. I built this arbor last year as an entrance to my garden. I still need to do the gates, but that's a project for another time. And then on either side of this arbor, I have trumpet vine starting to grow up. There's a decent sized one there, and then one that is teeny tiny down there at the bottom. But this is the entrance to my garden. And my garden consists of a vegetable garden, then an herb garden, and then a fruit garden area. It is completely fenced in except for about 30 feet on the right side of me from the arbor I just built over to my house. I haven't done that area yet, and that's just it's just a mess. There's weeds and grass and overgrown, and we have a shed right here that we need to take down, and we're going to build a guest house. And so I'm not even worried about that over there. But the rest of the garden is completely fenced in. And this is where my garden starts. But anyway, I apologize, it's not in the best of shape. See if I can get a good, let me go past our very important satellite dishes. Woo. Okay. So the tomatoes are there, and I have 6 rows of tomatoes with 4 tomatoes in each, so that's 24 tomato plants. And they have tomatoes on them and are starting to green up, so the tomatoes are doing great. In these long beds, I have 3 long beds. And I have cauliflower and I believe flat of Italy onions in this, broccoli, and a yellow onion in that one. And then on the other side of me, I'll get to it in a minute, I have cabbages and a white onion, I think. These beds are not doing so great for the most part. So this is broad beans. My first year growing broad beans, and we love them, actually. They're a little bit of work. You gotta shuck them and then steam them and then peel them to get to the bean inside, but we use them in salads. And so at the beginning of the week, I just kind of go through that process and have enough for, in a bowl in the fridge for salads for the whole week, and it's good to go. So about once a week I'm harvesting from that. So here's where the problem starts. The last 3 years I had tomatoes in these 7 beds. Tomatoes and bell peppers, and they did fine. this year we decided to do our squashes and bell peppers, and they're slow to take off, and I know exactly why, but I haven't fixed it. So we went and bought some what's supposed to be organic compost that we usually produce a majority of our own compost because we have chickens and cows and horses and goats and rabbits. But anyway, long story, we bought some. And come to find out, it was mostly like redwood bark and wood chips. And so it's very, very acidic. And everything has really struggled. Even though I did add quite a bit of manure in these beds, everything has struggled. So I should be harvesting zucchini by now. Should have been like overrun with zucchini. And we're just now starting to get our first tiny little zucchinis on there. This year we're only doing 2 squash plants per variety. So this bed zucchini, this bed I believe is crookneck, and we're starting to get some on there, and I have 2 of those. And then I did put a poor struggling cucumber in there, and when I put it in there, it had little cucumbers on it, and again it's struggling. So I can only blame it on, I think, the acidity in these beds. We'll see. So this bed, I think, is, pardon me, spaghetti squash, bell peppers. Wow, my throat. This bed is, I think, acorn squash. I apologize, I'm coughing. My allergies must be kicking in something awful. Acorn squash, cucumber, bell peppers. We have some sort of squash, which would be different than the others. It might be patty pan, bell peppers, cucumbers. I went ahead and had some extra tomatoes, so I put these 2 beds with tomatoes in and squash between them, different varieties. Butternut squash, and these tomatoes are struggling as opposed to these tomato plants, which are all doing magnificently. These beds, I used all my own compost that I make from our animal waste, and that's what I used in there. And in these beds, I just didn't. I mean, I added some in, but anyway. So that long bed there is the cabbages and the white onions, I believe. And then these are our bean beds, and the beans are finally starting to get started. And then we have eggplant and some other stuff in there. I need to weed that, as you can tell. So then you come around this way, and I have chocolate mint struggling to survive. Now that I've put it under the water, it'll do great. Flowers, massive butterfly bush. Probably can't see that because of the sun. I apologize. This is traditionally been my lettuce and salad bed, and I decided to try growing parsnips the first time this year, and I put parsnips in here. So I have lettuces, which we've already harvested all the lettuce from our first crop, and I planted some more out today. But most of this is parsnip, and then down here we have celery, and I need to pull that last little batch of lettuce there because it bolted. So the lettuce do really good in here. The parsnips are doing amazing. Celery's doing excellent. So this bed usually has something growing in it year round because I can put those panels on it, and it becomes in effect a mini greenhouse. This is my honeysuckle. It's amazing. It needs to be trimmed back. See if I can get it from another angle. But it's blooming so profusely that right now, and it smells so heavenly, I don't want to prune it back. But later I'll prune everything back except for what I can tie against the greenhouse. And I'm going to swing you this way for a second. And in those black buckets is huckleberries and watermelon. And then these are the beginnings of my herb garden. And so each box has a different herb in it, and I have sage in the corner over there against the fence, rosemary, oregano. Oh, see if I can remember. Wow, that's impressive. It's not borage. It is eluding me. Many of you will know. Comfrey. There we go. Looks a lot like borage. Anyway, tansy, feverfew, and then I have dill over there, fennel in that bed, calendula, and then 2 kinds of thyme in that last bed. I'm going to do, I think I still have room right now to do 6 more beds, and I have the herbs to go in them. I want each herb to have its own bed to kind of keep it contained. Back there, I have asparagus and some beets, and I'm getting ready to put another asparagus bed in over there. And then this is our fruit garden. And so basically it's mostly going to be raspberries. Blueberries are struggling over there, and I still have blueberries in pots everywhere that I need to put out. This is my thistle garden, which does not mean that I intentionally have been trying to grow thistles. It's just what grows well. So I'm covering them in cardboard, which will compost, and then I'm going to build raised beds on top of that and put more blueberries and raspberries. And then under the raspberries, we have strawberries in 3 of the beds. This one, the one over there, and the long one back there. And then the other 2 beds, I have melons, ground cherries, and gooseberries underplanted in these. And then on the outside, I have 4 entrances to the garden right now. So there's one there, one there, one over there, and then the arbor we walked through. And on the outside of the fence are various fruit trees. So we have quite a few fruit trees on the property. Our goal is at some point in the future to be sustainable, at least in fruit and a majority of our vegetables. I have a pond over here. This is the shed that's going to come down. I have a pond over there. It has a hole in it. It has for years, and I need to wait for it to get low and then patch the hole, but I haven't done that because I got koi and goldfish, lilies. I have white lilies and pink lilies. I need to fill it up again, and I don't know if you can see that over there, but the goldfish are playing under that lily pad. My koi, oh, I have some goldfish right here. Anyway, this is just a small part of our gardens. This is just, and there's some of my thistle. You can maybe see it starting to bloom. Again, not intentional. It just takes over. It's starting to bloom, so I need to dig it out today. I've been lax in that regard. But this is just a small part of our gardens, and it's our eating part. We have lots and lots of beds of flowers, and this is just one little branch of my raspberries. I've been eating raspberries for a couple of days. Trying to keep the grandchildren out of them is impossible. And then this leads back to that area over there, which is my greenhouse. I love my greenhouse. I haven't done my hair today or my makeup or anything, so hopefully you can't see that. My greenhouse is actually a purple house. It had, it's made out of sliders, old sliding glass doors, and each area here is a section of a slider. And this, where this door is, was a section of a slider, and my sweet son-in-law, I had this, I believe it's called a 10 light door, 2, 4, 6, 8, yeah, 10 light door. I've had it for years and knew I wanted to put it there. And I just didn't have time. So I asked my son-in-law to do it, and he did. Now I got to fill in the sides of it. But I love this greenhouse. Absolutely love it. And I have videos of my greenhouse on my YouTube channel, where this will be. So if you want to see the inside of the greenhouse, you can see that. But every year we add to the gardens to make it a beautiful place we love and want to spend time in. But there's always work to do. It'll never be perfect. And so waiting to video this when it's perfect. I mean, for instance, I'll go ahead and show you again the shed we're going to tear down. It has all that in front of it. And really, that's nothing compared to the rest of the property. I got beautiful areas and, you know, I think like everybody else, not so beautiful areas. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I will try to do more if you're interested. Thank you all so much for watching.